This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 19th day of July in the year 2021. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. As police investigators continue to put together the pieces of Saturday night's execution of a Georgetown man at Wisma in Linden, the dead man's grieving relatives today admitted that not only was he known to law enforcement, but he is also a former robbery convict who was trying to turn his life around. 23-year-old Delroy McKenzie was gunned down in Linden moments after he arrived there to reportedly meet a young lady on Saturday night. He was with one of his friends who accompanied him to Linden when they came on the gunfire. The friend survived the attack and has told investigators that after the young lady they were going to meet provided instructions and told them to board a grey Toyota motor car, two men emerged from the car and opened fire. McKenzie was shot 9 times to his body, while his friend managed to escape with gunshot wounds to his arms. The car suspected to have been used in the attack was found on Sunday afternoon, abandoned and burnt in Linden. Today, the dead man's relatives traveled to Linden to observe the post-mortem examination. The father, who requested that his name and image not be published, told news source that while his son, who served time in jail last year, was now trying to put his life back together, he also kept a lot of bad company. The man said he repeatedly warned his son about some of the people he kept as friends.
Show me a company and tell me who you are. You can't see it's not a gangster, it's not a gangster friend. So you understand me? I keep counseling me, you know. Trying to stay, I chase somebody in the come tell them, yo, I don't like see you, bam, me like you face, don't think, bam. So if you stay in the right direction, like all the rest of fathers will do, me never encourage. Me son like for several years, I rock back, I always try to put it on track.
According to the father, his son was currently working as a chef and held down that job for a long time. He said the son spent time in prison and came out last year, and he has been encouraging him since then to stay away from bad company.
He was incarceration. He was incarcerated at, last year for a couple of months for an act. He came out trying to get his life together. He get himself a job. Yeah, he find himself in some problem in the earlys, police problem. And he trying to get his life together, he get a job. And
the man said he had no idea that his son was in Linden or had plans to travel to Linden on Saturday. He said when he called his son on Saturday night around 8 p.m., the son told him he was heading to bed.
He lied to me too. Tell me he was in the bed. No, you shouldn't do that. You should have told me directly you going or whatever. He was lied to me. Tell me he was in his bed. He was in his bed, and the last thing he said to me, he tell me, I call the phone. Just I jump up and I call the phone. I let him just tell me spirit. Just tell me call this man phone. It was like around 8 o'clock. I call this man phone, and you know the man tell me, and the man put on a sleep voice too, and jammers to me. The man said, Daddy, I'm tired of going to sleep.
The father said had he known that his son was planning to travel to Linden on Saturday night, he would have tried to persuade him not to make the trip, since he had to go to work early the next morning. The family of Delroy McKenzie is hoping that more information surrounding the shooting could be made available to them, and those responsible could face the courts and justice. The police investigation of the execution is ongoing. Several leads are being followed tonight. More news coming up in just a moment.
What's our purpose? Together we rise. For our community, our customer, and our country. Our promises: strengthen our community, reliably connect our customers, innovate for all in our country. Together we rise.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Mom, what are you doing with GPL on your list?
Child, you forgot I have to pay GPL?
You got time with GPL?
I have to keep these lights on. The customers who think in that manner and refuse to honor their obligation to GPL are obviously not playing their part in ensuring quality service delivery. So, I will continue to pay my GPL bill on time, every time.
I recognize the value of your point, Mom. You were right.
Ole! Turn up the whole place. Tasty snack that have a smile on everyone's face. Ole! Got the flavor lock. Ole's got it, yes, this is one's favorite snack. Ole! Turn up the flavor now. Ole! Turn up the taste that's good, so wow. Ole's got it anyhow. Ole! Turn up the flavor now. Sunshine snacks. Ole! Turn up the flavor.
Mobil I is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil I adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
Let GBTI make your dreams of owning a home a reality. Buy or build your home with us. Let us help you to completely outfit your home and make it move-in ready. Need to purchase land? We finance that too. Benefit from our 10% down payment and interest rates as low as 4.25%. Calculated on the reducing balance with up to 30 years to repay. Switch your mortgage to us and learn about benefiting from the equity in your home. Invest wisely. Apply online or call your branch to schedule an appointment. GBTI, we see Guyana through your eye.
Welcome back. The Ministry of Health will soon be reviewing and updating the protocols that are in place for persons traveling to Guyana during the COVID-19 pandemic. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony explained today that currently, persons traveling to Guyana are only required to have a negative PCR COVID-19 test taken within 72 hours prior to arrival. He said that with the increase in vaccination globally and with more countries demanding to see evidence of vaccination, there is the need for the review of the local protocols.
We are currently reviewing our protocol, and we have a team that is currently reviewing that. Based on people now getting vaccinated, and to see how we can do both PCR and vaccination as a requirement. Okay. So that's something that is currently being worked upon.
Dr. Anthony said that unlike some other countries, Guyana is not accepting the rapid antigen tests for travelers coming in, describing the PCR test as the gold standard.
For our purposes, we are not accepting antigens here in Guyana. The reason being is that antigen testing, they're not as sensitive as the PCR. PCR, if somebody is positive, you can know within a shorter period of time. But with antigen, it takes a long time. People generally would have to be symptomatic before you see a positive results, or in most cases, that is what we have observed.
Since the beginning of the pandemic last March, some 53 cases of the virus have been imported. Further, the Minister of Health explained that with the increase in reported cases of the Delta variant abroad, the review will also cover whether persons traveling to Guyana must be quarantined on arrival.
At this time, however, we continue to have the same protocol that we have instituted, and we'll be monitoring those protocols.
As it relates to the country's vaccination rollout, to date, 242,991 persons have received their first dose of one of the COVID-19 vaccines, which accounts for 49.9% of the adult population. A total of 128,252 persons have received both doses of the vaccines, and that accounts for 26.3% of the country's adult population being fully vaccinated. In the world of politics, as a rift continues in the People's National Congress reform over the party leader David Granger's handling of party matters, a group of 5 of the 15 current members of the Central Executive Committee has emerged to lash out at the other members who recently publicly criticized Mr. Granger in a statement from the Central Executive Committee. In the statement signed by Jennifer Ferreira Dougal, Sherwin Holder, Ganesh Mahipal, Ernest Elliott, and Annette Ferguson, they said they denounced most emphatically the personal attacks against the constitutionally elected party leader, David Granger. The Central Executive Committee is the highest decision-making body within the People's National Congress reform. While Mr. Granger serves as the leader of the party, the chairman of the party is the chairman of the Central Executive Committee. The current chairman is longtime party member Valdo Lawrence. In a recent statement to Stabroek News, Mrs. Lawrence backed a statement from the Central Executive Committee that openly criticized the party leader over his actions. She said the CEC is a decision-making body between the General Council and the Congress. Hence, it has the power to call meetings and make statements. Lawrence added that the statement issued is legitimate and correct. She said the matter was discussed at the last CEC meeting where both the leader and the General Secretary were present, and they, like all members present, did not object to the CEC decision. She said she therefore endorses the statement by the Central Executive Committee. Ms. Lawrence also serves as the current chairman of the party's powerful Georgetown district. The 5 CEC members who issued their own letter after the statement was issued said they do not endorse the statement or any public discourse of discussion of the internal party matters in the public. Mr. Granger and the party's General Secretary Amna Ali have been accused of going rogue and making major decisions about the party without proper consultation. Executive and other members have become increasingly agitated over what they consider a one-man show within the People's National Congress reform, and they now want to bring that one-man show to an end as they press for the party to hold its long overdue elections this year. Following the party's ouster from the government as part of the APNU-AFC coalition, Granger was heavily criticized over his handling of matters related to the elections and the aftermath. He came under criticism for his selection of members of parliament without full consultation with the executive of the party. It is the first time in the People's National Congress reform's history that its leader and its chairman are not represented in the National Assembly. While Granger has been addressing a number of national issues in his weekly television program The Public Interest, he has remained relatively silent publicly under wrangling inside the People's National Congress over his own leadership. Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh and the team from the National Insurance Scheme have kick-started a series of outreaches to meet with citizens on issues pertaining to the National Insurance Scheme. The outreaches, which started at the Giftland Mall on Saturday and extended to Parika on Sunday, are expected to continue countrywide, according to the Finance Minister.
This outreach is part of a series. We're going to be doing many of them. Tomorrow we're in Parika. We're going to be elsewhere in Region 4, Region 5, Region 6, Region 10, and elsewhere. And our intention is to make the NIS as accessible to the people as we possibly can. This is about bringing government services and in particular NIS services to the people.
The matters expected to be addressed range from compliance certificates, contribution statements, registration and replacements of NIS cards, signing and submission of life certificates, submission of claims and benefit and pension queries. The minister noted that the NIS has been able to use technology to aid in resolving some challenges, such as allowing pensioners to send their life certificates via WhatsApp. He also explained that the feedback received so far has been satisfactory.
You would have seen that the scheme announced a few months ago the introduction of their WhatsApp, their digital submission of life certificates. And as a direct result of the introduction of that digital solution, the use of WhatsApp to submit your life certificate electronically, we have made a lot of progress in eliminating this problem of untimely processing of life certificates.
The NIS is hoping to strengthen the work that it does and become even more accessible to the public. Let's tell you now that the Aircraft Owners Association in Guyana today expressed its dismay and surprise over a recent move by the Public Works Minister Juan Edgil to order the suspension of 2 local aircraft operators after 2 planes belonging to the operators were involved in 2 separate incidents. In a statement, the association expressed its shock at the statements by the minister, who was quoted by the Department of Public Information as ordering that the operators be served with notices of suspension with immediate effect. The association said based on Edgil's order, it can only conclude that the minister has been inappropriately advised on the matter in the absence of the Director General of the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, who was on leave at the time. The first accident occurred on the 14th of July when a Cessna Caravan owned by the BK company but operated by JAGS Aviation overshot the Etterang-Bang runway in Region 7 during landing. 1 day later, a similar incident occurred at the Camarang airstrip involving a plane from another private owner. Both matters are on the probe by the Civil Aviation Authority, which is yet to complete the probe or pronounce on the causes of the 2 incidents. The Aircraft Owners Association further expressed surprise at the minister's statement about one of the aircraft transporting mercury for a mining company, claiming that the airline was not authorized to transport mercury. The Aircraft Owners Association, in its statement, said all the major aircraft operators are certified to carry dangerous goods like mercury, gasoline, and diesel, and they undergo a rigorous process to be qualified to do so. The association said in the circumstances, it must point out for the benefit of the traveling public that all commercial aircraft operators in Guyana are rigidly regulated and required to meet extremely high standards both in regard to pilot training and qualification and aircraft maintenance in order to obtain an aircraft operator certificate. The association noted that Guyana's aviation industry enjoys a record for one of the highest safety ratings in the Caribbean region, while operating out of one of the busiest airports in the region. The association said based on the minister's statements, it can only arrive at the conclusion that he is misguided on the issues he offered statements on. Tragic news to report now. 2 persons were killed and several others were badly injured in a horrific accident late last night at Little Diamond on the east bank of the Demerara. The dead and injured were all passengers on a Route 42 minibus that was speeding along the roadway when the driver lost control of the vehicle after it hit a curb on the road. The driver, according to eyewitnesses, fled the scene. He has since been arrested. Police investigators say he was drunk. The 2 who were killed have been identified as Anthony Persad and Aaliyah Edwards. The accident scene last night mirrored a horror movie, with the dead and injured bodies strewn along the roadway, shutting down traffic as paramedics rushed to the scene. The minibus, which carries a registration number BXX7256, toppled several times along the roadway after hitting the curb, pitching the passengers through the windows. A full police investigation is on the way, and the driver is expected to face the courts this week. Welcome back. The Ministry of Health will soon be reviewing and updating the protocols that are in place for persons traveling to Guyana during the COVID-19 pandemic. Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony explained today that currently persons traveling to Guyana are only required to have a negative PCR COVID-19 test taken within 72 hours prior to arrival. He said that with the increase in vaccination globally and with more countries demanding to see evidence of vaccination, there is the need for the review of the local protocols.
We are currently reviewing our protocol, and we have a team that is currently reviewing that based on people now getting vaccinated, and to see how we can do both PCR and vaccination as a requirement.
Okay.
So that's something that is currently being worked upon.
Dr. Anthony said that unlike some other countries, Guyana is not accepting the rapid antigen tests for travelers coming in, describing the PCR test as the gold standard.
For our purposes, we are not accepting antigens here in Guyana. The reason being is that antigen testing, they're not as sensitive as the PCR. PCR, if somebody is positive, you can know within a shorter period of time. But with antigen, it takes a long time. People generally will have to be symptomatic before you see a positive results. Or in most cases, that is what we have observed.
Since the beginning of the pandemic last March, some 53 cases of the virus have been imported. Further, the Minister of Health explained that with the increase in reported cases of the Delta variant abroad, the review will also cover whether persons traveling to Guyana must be quarantined on arrival.
At this time, however, we continue to have the same protocol that we have instituted, and we'll be monitoring those protocols.
As it relates to the country's vaccination rollout, to date, 242,991 persons have received their first dose of one of the COVID-19 vaccines, which accounts for 49.9% of the adult population. A total of 128,252 persons have received both doses of the vaccines, and that accounts for 26.3% of the country's adult population being fully vaccinated.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Preparing for your NGSA exams is always a challenge. The Guyana Learning Channel is here to help. You can go to YouTube using your browser or your mobile device, then search for the Guyana Learning Channel in the search bar. We're live streaming our NGSA booster videos all day and all night. If you want to study a specific subject or topic, you can go to our NGSA booster playlist. You can look at a specific subject, such as mathematics, and then look for a specific topic. Here, you can follow along with the lesson to prepare for your examination. Remember kids, study hard, and best of luck in your exams.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right, walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
What's our purpose? Together we rise. For our community, our customer, and our country. Our promises: strengthen our community, reliably connect our customers, innovate for all in our country. Together we rise.
Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guyana's Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
Listen to me, Guyana. This is DJ Garvin. I've just been vaccinated and I'm urging you to go get vaccinated also. Remember, the longer you take the vaccine is the more we're going to be locked down. So my people, go out there, get your vaccine, be on the safe side. Remember, vaccine works.
Across the region tonight, the Associated Press is reporting that Haiti's designated Prime Minister Ariel Henry will replace the country's interim Prime Minister. To honor the wishes of the country's slain president, an official has confirmed. The Associated Press reports that it wasn't immediately clear how quickly the interim Prime Minister Claude Joseph, who has been leading Haiti with the backing of police and the military since the 7th of July assassination of the President Jovenel Moïse, would step down. Haiti's elections minister said negotiations are still in course. Joseph could not be reached for comment, and Henry did not return a message for comment to the Associated Press. The change follows a statement Saturday from a key group of international diplomats that appeared to snub Joseph as it called for the creation of a consensual and inclusive government. The core group is comprised of ambassadors from Germany, Brazil, Canada, Spain, the US, France, the EU, and representatives from the United Nations and the Organization of American States. The statement was issued hours after Moïse's wife, Martine, arrived in Haiti on Saturday aboard a private jet clad in black and wearing a bulletproof vest. She has not issued a statement or spoken publicly as the government prepares for the 23rd of July funeral that will be held in the northern city of Port-au-Prince. Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been released from hospital days after being admitted with serious intestine problems. The 66-year-old had been suffering persistent hiccups for 10 days. There have been concerns about the far-right leader's health since he was stabbed in the intestines while campaigning in 2018. Mr. Bolsonaro was seriously wounded in the attack and lost 40% of his blood. He has had several operations since. After treatment for an obstruction to the intestine which did not need surgery, he promised to be back at his office by this week. He said only God can remove him from office. The Brazilian president has rejected recent corruption accusations against his former health minister over negotiations to purchase overpriced coronavirus vaccines. The allegations are part of a major congressional inquiry into the Brazilian government's response to COVID-19. After 2.5 years of a controversial presidency, Mr. Bolsonaro is under growing pressure over his handling of the pandemic. And finally tonight, international news. Germany's government has hit back at criticism over its warning systems after the worst flooding in decades left at least 160 persons dead. The deluge caught many off guard, sweeping away houses and leaving residents trapped in rising waters. More than 170 people are still missing. The opposition Green Party in Germany said the disaster showed Germany must prepare better for extreme weather events. But the Interior Minister defended the government's actions. Local communities should decide how to respond, he said. Under Germany's political system, regional states are responsible for emergency efforts. He called the criticism cheap election rhetoric. Germany votes in September to elect a successor to Chancellor Angela Merkel. She is retiring after 16 years in power. Flood warning systems sent out alerts a few days before the heavy rainfall. However, they failed to reach many residents or officials in time. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, thanking you for joining us and encouraging you to stay safe.